Hello, welcome to another video from EarnPed.com. I'm Stevie B, happy to have you all with me today as we continue our series on getting started on Planet Cyrene. So let's get this started with some big sips to start us off right. So in our last video, we talked about Cyrene Mission Tokens and how we can do hand-in missions and other missions to get Cyrene Mission Tokens that we will use later on, mainly in crafting, but in other things too, here on Planet Cyrene. In the last video, we also talked about how to take a lot of low markup ores and Enmatters and convert them into high markup Cyrene Mission Tokens. So as promised, in this video, we're going to talk about mining. Now, I know mining is not something that a lot of players find super interesting. It's something that a lot of players just don't do at all. Personally, I've never really loved mining until I got to Planet Cyrene. Planet Cyrene has completely given me a new lease on mining. I love it. My F106 mining finder was stuck at roughly tier 7.1 for practically a year and a half now. And in the past couple of weeks, I've gotten from 7.1 to tier 7.28. So that tells you how much mining I've been doing. And I haven't even been exclusively using the F106. So today we're going to talk about mining, and then we're going to move on to crafting. Now I will tell you guys up front, crafting is going to be a several part video series for some very important reasons. But before we get there, I want you guys to know that at the end of today's video, if you stick with me to the very end of the video, I will explain some of the things you can do with these ARC faction mission badges. These ARC faction badges that we have been getting and will be continue to get. I know a lot of people are like, why are we even getting these ARC faction badges? They're very, very important, and I'm going to explain several good reasons, including how to make money with them at the end of the video. So stick with me. So we're going to start off at the ARC staging teleporter. This is going to be where we're going to get the majority of our mining missions. Now, if you remember from yesterday's video on mission tokens, the Cyrene Mission Tokens, there's this miner bot over here where we can turn in 5 yellow stars or yellow crystals and get Cyrene Mission Tokens as a daily. So this is also at the ARC staging teleporter. So today what we're going to do is we're going to come and talk to Iron Mining Challenge Bot Prospector and Iron Mining Challenge Bot Surveyor. They will give us all of the regular mining missions that we're used to for both ores and Enmatters, where we dig up a certain amount of each one and then we get a reward in the form of skills, and then we move on to the next rank and the next rank and the next rank, and then we eventually go through all the ranks. So we want to come grab all those first, and then we also want to come up here, and this NPC right here, Will Andrews, the one in the middle, we want to talk to him because he gives us daily mining missions. So that's what we want to do here at the ARC staging teleporter. Then we want to hop over to this teleporter right up here in the top corner of the map. I want to be sure you guys can see it. It's the Risen Island teleporter. Excuse me guys, my allergies are killing me today. And when we get here to the Risen Island teleporter, that's Risen Island over there to the northeast. If we head directly northeast of the teleporter, there's going to be another miner bot pop up here, Miner 4900 bot. We talked to him. He gives us the mission chain for Risen Island, which is, again, mine, find a certain number of claims, get your skill reward, get the next rank, mine, get a certain number of claims, get your skill reward, get the next rank, so on and so forth. Then we want to head one more place to get more mining missions, and that is going to be the 0 by 101 Supply Depot teleporter. Now, at this point, anybody can get the missions I've talked to up to this point, but at this point, you have to have at least 200 ARC faction badges, and you have to have them on you in your carried inventory before you talk to this NPC. This is one of the reasons I told you guys we wanted to get to 200 ARC faction badges as fast as possible. So we come over here to the tent. This is a tent we're going to get very familiar with. We're going to be here a whole lot while we're on Planet Cyrene. And we've got several NPCs here. We've got Mac, the trade supplier. We've got Adrena, who we do the sweat hand-in for the ARC faction badge once a day. And then we've got Lee, ARC relief collections. We talked to Lee. Now, I've already talked to him. If you talk to him and you do not have 200 ARC faction badges in your carried inventory, he won't give you the missions. Doesn't matter how many ARC faction badges you have in storage, you have to have them physically on you. But if you have 200 ARC faction badges and you have them on you, you come talk to Lee. He will give you 5 additional mining missions that are daily missions that will result in you getting not just skills like the other mining missions, but these particular 5 mining missions will actually give you additional ARC faction badges. And again, when we talk to Lee, these are daily missions, so we can do these every day. So now that said, now that we know where the NPCs are that we need to interact with, I want to go through some in my mission log with you real quick, and then we want to touch on something special about mining here on Cyrene. So if I open my mission log, make sure you guys can see it. Pull it up a little bit higher for you. There we go. So these are my ARC hunting missions, but if we go down here, see where it says stage 2? These are the mining missions that we just got from Lee over there. So we have to find 3 claims of Zornstar ore, 3 claims of yellow crystal, 3 claims of Kazanite ore, 3 claims of green crystal, and 3 claims of blue crystal. Now, each of these claims has to be larger than a certain size. I believe it's 0.1 ped. I could be slightly off on that, but it's not much. I can usually bang out these missions right here with very little effort using nothing but a TT finder. TT finder uses very, very few probes. In fact, I believe it's 2 probes for ore and 1 for Enmatter, or vice versa. And it's got little to no decay. So you can bang these out pretty easy. This is an easy, fast, cheap way to get your ARC faction badges. Now, each one rewards 1 ARC faction badge, but you can do this every day. So this is 5 additional ARC faction badges a day. So if you get the 5 from the daily hunting mission that we did in the ultimate circuit, that takes about a half an hour, and then you get the 5 from this, now you've gone from 5 ARC faction badges a day to 10. Now you're collecting them twice as fast. Now, when we talk about the other NPCs that we just looked at, let's scroll on down here a little bit. I want to be sure I show you guys the exact right missions. So notice that we have these mine up missions. These are the ones from Will Andrews. These are the ones that we got from Will Andrews, the NPC at the middle at the ARC staging teleporter. These are the dailies. So he wants me to get iridium ore, Kazanite ore, yellow crystals, Zornar, and blue star crystal. Now notice a lot of these stack really well with the missions we just talked about for the ARC faction badges. Kazanite, yellow crystal, Zornstar, or blue crystal. In fact, the only one that's different is this iridium one right here. Now, for these, we need to find at least 60 peck worth, and we get mining skill increase of 0.1 ped. 40 peck of Kazanite gets us 0.08 ped of mining skill. Yellow crystal, we need 20 peck, and we get 0.04 ped of prospecting. Zornstar, we need 20 peck, and it gives us 0.04 ped of mining skill. And blue crystal, we need 40 peck, and it gives us 0.08 ped of prospecting. So these are the dailies that we get from Will Andrew over at the ARC staging teleporter. And then when we went to Risen Island to the teleporter, we got the Miner's Paradise rank 3 from that Miner 4900 bot. Now, I'm already on rank 3. You start off at rank 1. And now I've got to find a total of 1,000 deposits, or deposits worth 1,000 points, I should say, before I can progress to rank 4. So the actual mission chain is called Miner's Paradise, but this is the one that we just got over at Risen Island teleporter for Risen Island. Now, we'll get to that in a second. We're going to come back to this because this mission is kind of special, but we'll come back to that in a second. And then, as you see, these are all the iron mining challenges that I got from the Iron Challenge miner bots at ARC staging. So I can go through rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. Now I want you guys to look at something. We've got a lot of ores like iridium, Kazanite, Listerium, Nosifer, Olerin, stuff like that. But notice we also have a lot of crystals. Blue crystal, green crystal, hazy crystal, orange crystal, purple crystal, yellow crystal. So crystals on Cyrene are Enmatters, like oil would be an Enmatter. Crystals like blue, yellow, green, those are all Enmatters also. And they are unique and specific to Planet Cyrene. However, there's one in particular that stands out from the rest, and that is the rainbow crystal. The rainbow crystal is a rare find and has really good markup because if you can get your hands on enough of it, you can turn it into a rainbow crystal texture that can be used to make really amazing looking multicolored clothing. They almost look like rainbow tie-dye clothes. They're very rare, very expensive, because this is a very hard crystal to get your hands on. And you can only find it here on Planet Cyrene. So I want you guys to make a mental note of that right off the bat, because I've always wanted to have a rainbow crystal textured set of clothes, because they look absolutely amazing. There's very few sets in game. They do not trade hands often, and they're quite expensive to get your hands on. But that's because rainbow crystal is a rare drop. Now, as we said in the last video, a lot of these other ones, they really don't have a lot of markup, like blue, yellow. That's why we do the hand-in missions, to convert them into Cyrene Mission Tokens that we can then turn around, that do have markup, that we can sell to be profitable, right? So remember I said I would come back to the one for Risen Island, the Miner's Paradise mission. Risen Island is unique on Planet Cyrene. If we look at our map, this island right up here, here's the Risen Island teleporter, here's Risen Island where we do the Miner's Paradise mission chain. This island is unique when it comes to mining. So right now I'm not talking about Risen Island. Right now I'm talking about all the rest of Planet Cyrene. We will have to cover Risen Island in its very own video later on because of how unique it is. But for now, forget about that. We're going to focus on the rest of Cyrene. So when it comes to mining on Cyrene, there's not a lot of demand and not a lot of markup for a lot of these crystals like we saw yesterday. That's why we convert them into the Cyrene Mission Tokens, right? Because of that, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to use something like the F-106 to go do these daily missions. It doesn't make a lot of sense to use something like the F-105 to go do a lot of these mining missions. Actually, what makes the most sense a lot of times is just to go to the trade terminal and just grab a trade terminal mining finder, go to mining and get the initiates finder, and that will actually do the trick for a lot of these dailies. Now, not all of them, but a lot of them. And a lot of these dailies you can complete with this mining finder if you just know where to find different ores and Enmatters. There's different ores and Enmatters at different spots on Planet Cyrene. However, there's one very special thing I wanted to talk to you guys about when it comes to mining. And that is, remember, one of the very first videos on Planet Cyrene, we went and talked to the NPC Esther, and we got Esther's challenges. Well, if we go to our mission log, and we go down to the challenge for the Imperium Detectinator X2, we see that this is a mission that we got from Challenger Esther, and in order to get this blueprint, we only need to kill 1,000 Peneleon. So if we're going to be on Cyrene, we're going to kill 1,000 Peneleon, and we're going to do that pretty quickly. Now, this is a level 5 blueprint. You need Tool Engineer level 15 to have it completely maxed out. And it's not a cheap blueprint to craft, because to craft it you need 1 strong sinew, 1 weak sinew. These sinews that you need, even though you only need 1 per attempt, these are very hard to get to drop, and they have pretty good demand and pretty good markup. So they're going to be pretty hard to get your hands on. And these terrestrial glands, those drop from Mangchang. We're going to have a need for those in a lot of the higher end crafting dailies we're going to be doing, so these are not going to be easy to get your hands on either. But assuming you can make these Imperium Detectinators, that you can craft with this blueprint we get from Challenger Esther, they are fairly unique in game from what I can see. So here's why. If we go look at the Trade Terminal Initiates Finder, I'm actually just going to buy one real quick. This is just the Trade Terminal Mining Finder that I told you guys will do the trick for most of the stuff here on Cyrene that's mining related. We see that, like most basic TT finders, it's got very shallow depth, but it only uses 2 probes when looking for ore and 1 probe when looking for Enmatter. And this has very, very little decay because it's only got a 10 pec total TT value. Now let's compare that with something like a more traditional mining finder like my F-106. My F-106 has much deeper depth, but notice it uses 20 probes when looking for ore, and 10 when looking for Enmatter. Now, really, the amount of decay and the number of probes should not be a big deal if you go by two general rules. Number one, always be going after markup, not just completing missions, not just mining for the heck of it, but always be mining with a purpose, and that purpose being markup. And number two, doing significantly large mining runs. If you're not doing mining runs of at least 200 to 300 drops per mining run, then your results are going to be all over the place. If your mining runs are at least 200 to 300 at the bare minimum drops per mining run, then your returns should even out and should be pretty fairly consistent. Now again, MineDark's going to take a little bit of that money cycled to keep the lights on and the servers up and pay the bills. However, that's why we should be going after markup in the first place. But generally speaking, these are the options that we have in game. We've got TT gear that's got 1 probe per use for Enmatter and 2 for ore, or we've got the regular higher end gear that has 20 probes per use for ore and 10 for Enmatter, so 10 times the probe cost, right? Now here's the problem. With the F-106, I can complete these missions fairly easily. However, with the TT Finder, the problem is these missions are based on size 99.9% of the time. Notice that all the dailies we get from the NPC Will at Arc Staging, they're based on size. Even the ones that we get from Lee over at the Supply Depot for the additional Arc Faction badges, they're to some extent based on size, even though it's a very small size. But when we look at some of these challenges down here, the iron challenges, they're all based on size. Notice that just to get through rank 1, I've got to find deposits worth 100 points. Well, if I get a mammoth or higher, that's worth 60 points. I'm not going to get that with the TT Finder. In fact, with the TT Finder, what I usually get is either minimal or tiny. And I don't even get a single point for that with the TT Finder. With the TT Finder, a minimal gives me a 5% chance at getting a single point. A tiny gives me a 25% chance at getting a single point. So what that means is if I'm using the TT Finder, yes, I can complete the daily missions with them pretty quickly. However, I'm not going to be completing my iron missions with them because I'm practically getting 0 points. In fact, if we look at, let's look at something I do a lot. Like I get a lot of Zornstar. I'm only on rank 2, and I've only got 68 total points. I would be on like rank 4 at this point had I not been using a TT Finder whenever I'm out getting Zorn. Let's look at my Blue Crystal. I'm still on rank 1, and I've only got 70 points. I would be on rank 3 by now if I've been using a bigger finder. But when I'm looking for Blue Crystal, since there's very little demand and I can only turn so much into Cyrene Mission Tokens, I tend to use the TT Finder for that. So what's unique about this finder that requires these sinews to create? Why would we get these sinews that are so expensive to turn around and make a mining finder? Well, the cool thing about that mining finder that we get the blueprint from Challenger Esther is like a TT Finder. It only uses 2 probes when looking for ore and only 1 probe when looking for Enmatter. However, it has 7 pec of decay per use. So when you mix the low probe use per use with the 7 pec of decay per use, which is still a lot lower than a more traditional mining finder, what we end up with is a total decay per use between probes and decay on the Imperium Detectinator Limited to actually help us get through these iron mission challenges. So whereas a F-106 or F-105 would be better for certain things, and a TT Finder is better for the daily missions, that TT Finder isn't going to be good to help us get through these iron challenges, and an F-105, F-106, it might be too much to help us get through these in a way that is profitable, since we're mainly having to use the F-105 or F-106 when we're mining for markup, and we're just not getting a lot of markup as we're going through these mining challenges. So if you can get your hands on the stuff you need to craft that Imperium Detectinator, once you get the blueprint after killing that 1,000 Peneleon, or if you can just get your hands on an Imperium Detectinator, between the 7 pec of decay and the 1 to 2 probes per drop, 3 total if you're going for ore and Enmatter, you're going to have enough decay that your mining finds will be big enough to help you finish these iron mining challenges. That's going to give you a lot more mining skills, a lot more surveyor and prospector, and it's going to help grow your HP too. Now, I have not yet got my hands on one. I have not yet got my hands on the blueprint or the materials to make one. I might not get my hands on one, but ideally, if you could use the TT Finder to complete the Arc Faction dailies and the dailies from Will over at Arc Staging, you could use the Imperium Detectinator to work your way through the Iron Mining challenges. Then you could use something like your unlimited F103, F105, or F106 when you're out there actually mining for markup, doing those much, much bigger, more expensive mining runs, knowing that the markup is going to be able to make up for the losses. So the Imperium Detectinator Limited, if you can manage to get the blueprint and the inputs and make one and do it without totally blowing the bank in the process, is ideal for these iron mining challenges, even though there's virtually no markup in a lot of these items that we're going after, unless we slowly turn them into Cyrene Mission Tokens. Now, that's everything I'm going to cover today for mining here on Cyrene. Like I said, we will talk about Risen Island in a completely separate video later on. I promised you guys at the beginning of the video, if you would stick with me to the end of the video, I would explain a little bit about the Arc Faction badges and why we want them. So there are several places on Planet Cyrene we can use our Arc Faction badges to enter special instances that will allow us to do very quick, easy challenges that will give us buffs that we can use. So essentially free buffs. There's another benefit of these Arc Faction badges will allow us to access special vendors, specifically inside the hub, to get our hands on special gear. That gear can be quite valuable or quite useful. And most importantly, the reason most people go after these Arc Faction badges is they allow us to upgrade our armor plates and our armor. I'm actually going to be creating my first upgraded armor plate here on Planet Cyrene, and I've got an entire video that's going to be dedicated to showing you guys that process. The upgraded plates and the upgraded armor here on Cyrene are some of the most desirable upgraded plates and armor in the game at the moment, and you have to have large amounts of these Arc Faction badges and be able to go through the upgrade process. Now, you don't have to turn them in, you just have to physically have possession of them. There are also other ways we will get to that simply by having the Arc Faction badges, even though they're account bound, even though they're not tradable and cannot be sold, there are special missions that we can do, one in particular that I will get to in a video in the fairly near future, actually 2 missions, having to do with the same overall mission chain, that can allow us to take our Arc Faction badges, and if we have them in enough quantity, we can trade them for an item that is not only tradable, but exceedingly valuable, and I think the value of that item is only going to go up. So this is all we've got to cover with mining. Now from here we're going to move on to crafting, and crafting is going to have to be in about 4 or 5 different videos because there are some very unique things to crafting here on Planet Cyrene. We need to cover each one at a time, and then once we get past that, we will start being able to cover a lot of other material like epic mission chains, Zoras, the armor upgrades, the plate upgrades, a lot of other stuff that you guys might not even be aware of yet, a lot of stuff that even OG players aren't aware of yet. A lot of stuff that you guys are going to want to be working on, stuff that I'm currently working on right now. Now, that said, I'm going to be getting those videos out to you guys as fast as I can. I do have Mayhem coming up at the end of the month, so I'm going to have to try and work that into my schedule. I also need to leave Cyrene to shoot some content on other planets that I'll be putting out over the next couple of days. Some very important updates that have happened in-game lately, and I need to cover that for you guys as well. But that's everything about mining, and the next video in this series should be the beginning of our videos on crafting. There will probably be 4 or 5 crafting videos total, and then we will move on from there. So till next time, sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Head over to earnped.com because when you earn, we earn. It's by far the best way you guys can help support us. Simply use the links on earnped.com to go to hideout.tv. Hideout will automatically add us as an option for your hideout points. Please do as the banner says at the bottom of the screen. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon. It only takes a second. You do it once. It's absolutely free, and that keeps you up to date with all the newest content we post, all the newest things going on in Entropia, changes in game, and events, and opportunities for you guys. And guys, please hit that like button on every single video. I cannot stress how much it means and how important it is that every single video have that like button hit, because there's always a troll and a hater out there trying to hate on us and drag us down. And when you guys hit that like button, it takes you 1 second, it's free, and it does a tremendous job of helping us combat those trolls and those haters. But more importantly, you guys deserve to know the impact you're having. I am still getting emails every week from people saying, hey, I was messing around on YouTube. I tend to watch games on PC, videos on PC games and MMOs and real cash comedy games. Now I'm messing around on YouTube and I saw this video pop up that said Entropia Universe. I'd never heard of the game, so I clicked on it. I watched the video. I started watching the channel. Now I love this game. This isn't just my hobby, it's my passion. I've already been to Planet Calypso. I've already been to Camp Icarus, North Swamp Camp. I've already visited Cyrene, Next Island, Arcadia. Let me tell you about all the things I've been doing in game. Would you please tell your viewers and your subscribers thank you? Because they hit that subscribe button, because they hit the bell icon and the like button, that's why YouTube put this video in front of me. And now this is a game that I absolutely love. I'm trying to share it with my friends and my family. So would you please thank your viewers for me? Guys, that is all on you. We only get that reach and that exposure because of you supporting us by hitting those buttons. So please keep it up and know that you are doing a great, tremendous job of sharing this game with people around the world that are finding a love for Entropia for the very first time, or for the first time in a long time, simply by being exposed to the videos, because you guys are helping us get the exposure. So guys, please keep it up, and we'll be back with more for you next week. Till then, sip sip, smack smack, y'all know the rest. Take care, Stevies.